Okay, rock stars, I put a sealer on this fish so that when I glazed it, the sealer didn't stick. But that's not practical because going along and having all of you seal it was a pain. So this fish got painted over, so he's got an overglaze. I'm gonna call that an overglaze. So this one here has the overglaze on this side, and this side I left the fish. I didn't overglaze over it. I glazed up to it. You can kind of tell. So that is my suggestion, but you are welcome to do this over here. I have one card left. Now, you can see on these right here that I added some texture. And I did that with a stiff brush. My suggestion is if you want to add this kind of texture, that you practice it on just a plain piece of paper, computer paper, or whatever. When you first do it, you know, it's kind of heavy right there. This one turned out a little bit better. To not get it on the fish, you have to cover up the fish with like your finger, or it might work. There's one fish. He's covered enough. And some rose madder to the rescue. And it needs to be probably pretty dark. And not too thin. Alright, there's a good piece of scrap. It's good to do this with a toothbrush. Don't have enough toothbrushes to go around. So find yourself a stiff brush. Get those drips off. And like I said, you want to practice this. Looks like I need to be a little bit higher, not hit it as hard. You can see those showing up there. And you definitely got to let them dry. And yeah, you're probably going to hit the lily pads in the corner, but that's okay. Just don't overdo it. Really important to let it dry when you're done. But that's a nice look. All those little spots. So I did it in steps. I put some yellow down. I waited, maybe not let it completely dry. And then I added some watered down green. And then you do need to let it completely dry. You'll want this to be completely dry before you do the final. And by the way, check out this nice border I got on here. That is from the taping. So this looks great. It's my suggestion that this is how you tape. And don't forget, especially if you're using this red tape, to run the tape on your clothes or somebody's fuzzy sweater or something so that it doesn't stick too much. The yellow I used was actually that yellow ochre I gave you guys. So I have a little bit here, and I've got these 3 little wells right here. We already have water in them. This is the yellow, here's our blue. Anyway, I'm gonna take some of this that I softened. Just take a little bit over to here. So I'm making a watered down yellow ochre. So there's my test strip. Let's see how it looks. Can't even see it. All right, a little more. So let's go in. And remember, you're not gonna go over your fish, either one of your koi, because you've worked hard to make them beautiful. Unless you really like this look where they're already underwater. This is more accurate, this one right here. It looks like it's under the water. It looks like there's blue over the top of it. That makes sense. Right now we're starting with the yellow ochre. And don't be shy. Right, so start just kind of quickly, go in. Go right over the top of everything but the fish and the lily pads. And just add a little here and there. Leave some white spaces because you're going to put green in some of those white spaces. Then blue will go over all of it. I picked yellow ochre because it looked more like it would be the bottom of a pond or a river. I'm gonna let that dry. And I would use your hooker's green. I think that's what I got here. It's gonna come in with this, and I'm kind of looking at where it was white, where I hadn't put the yellow ochre yet. I'm hitting some of that, but I'm also letting it blend in some. So again, not an even coverage. Don't do even coverage. You know, don't go crazy, but don't try and hit every white spot. We're going to speed dry it. But just be good and certain that it is bone dry for the next step. All right, so I have another pool here. I'm going to use this blue, which I think might be similar to your phthalo blue. This is when you want to go and get the biggest wash brush you can find. A Badger blender. Look at the size of that sucker. 3 swipes and I'm done. It'd be tempting if I was doing the whole thing. Since I want to avoid my too koi, this brush is way too big. Yeah. When you do glazes, you can't sit there and go like this, because you'll start rubbing and you'll lose all these little dots. You'll lose all your detail into here. You just got to get in. You have to move quick, keep your brush wet. Get in here, hit all these places, and then you just have to call it good. You might want to go back and hit barely some big white spots you might have left, just the big ones. Leave the little ones. So let's see if I can demo this. I get one shot at it. It all comes down to this. So of course I'm going to see what this looks like on my test strip. Remember, really watered down. And don't scrub. Just lay it on there with the softest brush you can find. And here we go. Try to remember to not hit the fish. You can see the texture in the paper coming through. That's usually an indicator that one of your paints is heavier than the other. So I'm at that point where it's real tempting to go in and like hit every spot that you missed. And if you see some huge ones, go for it. Definitely do not go back out here where you've already been. That has softened because it's been had time to soak. You see the green's already running there. So you just gotta be very careful. Look at me, I'm not stopping. Come on, Lee, you don't have to hit every white spot. Okay, Lee, you can stop now. See, it's just hard. If you get rid of every one of the little white spots that's around the fish, all this stuff, if you get rid of all of them, that actually looks worse. The white kind of adds to the charm and it adds to the message to the person looking at it that this is just a painting, it's just watercolor, we're not taking it too serious, it's not trying to be reality, it's just trying to give off an impression, an image. So my wife's like, those look like pickles. Yeah, they do actually. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Your turn.